There we go.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Canadian Bro Show. My name is Paul Bale. I'm the founder and host of the Canadian Bro Show, and the two handsome gentlemen to my left and your right, the one in the middle is our special guest, Mr. Keith Bickford. And Keith's been back on our show again. Welcome back, Keith. Thanks. Keith was, we invited Keith on one of our earliest episodes about a year ago, episode 4, I believe.
Yeah.
On comic books. So if you're interested in seeing that, we've got over 100 views on that, and it's quite interesting. Keith's an interesting chap. And to his left is the legendary John Leister, the co-host of The Most. Gentlemen, how you doing? Both Keith and Johnny are in Vancouver, and I'm in Kelowna right now. We're doing episode 54, and we've invited Keith back to talk about his legendary comic book collection and his entire career of, God, like 45 years in the industry. Johnny, would you like to start things off?
Sure. Okay. Well, I want to ask Keith, first of all, when you started reading comics as a kid, who is your favorite writer and who is your favorite artist? What were the two names that really stood out initially when you started reading comics as a kid?
Back then, probably Chris Claremont wrote like the Uncanny X-Men.
Right.
And
I actually met him at a convention. I think we both went to that. Remember on Demon Street?
Yep.
There was a convention. I think Chris Claremont was there. There were like 12 nerds.
Good memories, guys. A couple of
It's not like
60-year-old chaps, and we still have memories. Unbelievable.
It's not like today where thousands of people congregate to Comic-Con. And so Chris Claremont was your first favorite writer. And who was your first favorite artist? For me, it was Neil Adams.
John Byrne.
Yeah, John Byrne.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, when he took over Uncanny X-Men, it really took off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's Johnny. Let's go back to Keith and Keith, if you don't mind, just so people know if they haven't seen the 4th episode and they're interested in comics and they want to find out more about comics. When did you you woke up one day and you just decided to get a job in a comic book store? Like, what? Did you have an epiphany?
How did you hear about the comic shop? Like, what precipitated you gaining employment there?
Well, I mean, I came across the original store when I used to deliver newspapers.
Oh, very good.
At 4:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I'd walk by the store like 6 times a week, right?
Do you remember seeing it for the first time? And like, did your jaw fall to the pavement? Like, oh, this is heaven on earth.
Well, yeah, it's like, I only really knew comics like from like going to my dentist's office,
right. Or the barbershop,
and friends of mine.
Yeah,
they collected or read
the drugstore, the spinner rack, the 7-Eleven.
Yeah, so that's how I got exposed to it. So,
and what year are we talking about? Early 70s.
I mean, the comic shop opened in 74.
Yeah.
I started.
That was the one on 4th and Alma there?
Yeah. I started delivering newspapers in 76. So
where was your paper shack, Keith? Was it close to your Belfours there?
Yeah, it was on the same block. Basically, I would say about maybe 100 feet from where I lived.
Who created that Howard the Duck? Now, in the comic shop, they had like a wooden Howard the Duck sign.
Yeah.
Who created that sign? Do you know?
I guess idea? Ron or Ken.
They were the original owners.
I think they probably painted it.
Okay.
Yeah. Cut it out and then painted it themselves.
And it lasted the whole history of the store.
It was legendary. We had our paper shack was up on in the alley off Belfour Rentals there on 3rd and U. Behind my grandmother and grandfather had a vitamin store, my Uncle Stephen. And it was literally behind the vitamin store with the clans, Darrow clan. Okay. But and I had the same paper route that Keith did, except my route was right before his because I was only a few blocks off. And Keith and I went to St. Augustine's together, so we used to see each other all the time in the early 70s. We wouldn't necessarily walk to school, but because we went to the same school, we both lived just off 4th. And so we'd end up going to school, and of course, kids back then, maybe 100 students. So it was really interesting back then. But so you didn't start working in a comic book store at that age? You were still delivering papers. But was that your first job when you actually took the comic book store job?
Yeah.
So you did both jobs?
No, it's like
quit?
basically when I started working at the comic shop, I gave up the paper
yeah.
route.
Yeah, of course,
Tell us-
Johnny. Come
Tell
on.
us about your first day.
I
Was
don't
it
even
crazy?
know when the first day was.
Because I remember my
I
mom
think
took
it
me
was,
there.
I think it was like
Boy, oh boy, I just lost my mind. I remember the first
started
time.
working sort of like summer 1980.
You don't remember going and knocking the door and saying, hire me? Or is anybody looking for,
Like, This is one of the first stores in all of North America that exclusively sold comic books.
I remember it well. It was amazing.
I think it was the oldest store in North
It was.
America, when it closed.
Right.
Well,
Been
there's
around for
collector's
like
books and
45
comics
years.
on Dunbar and 16.
What?
Collector's books and comics on Dunbar and 16.
But that closed.
Yeah, but that
like,
closed, yeah. And it was more of a bookstore
Yeah.
than a comic book store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your first day like? Do you remember? Was it exciting? No?
Well, it was exciting because I got to like go behind in the back and see all their comics.
All the
that
new
they had
comics,
in the
right?
back. Well, new, old.
Fresh
It was
off the
more
press.
old. That's what I was more interested
Yeah.
in. So
I remember every Wednesday, I would get so excited about every Wednesday or Friday with the new comics. You walk into the store and the new comics were on the shelf. And oh gosh, it was like a prospector finding gold. Like
Yeah.
the latest issue of X-Men. Oh my God, I just couldn't spend my money fast enough. My mother's money, I should say.
I have to admit, all of us in the 70s would go to that store religiously. I mean, I went every time I got my allowance, or at that time I was working because my mom cut my allowance off when I was very young. Apparently, something to do with coin theft from the numerous purses in her bedroom. I had a Slurpee addiction in the late 60s, early 70s.
Who could forget
And
the Super
and
Bowl?
and my paper route just couldn't. It was a job, but it just didn't pay very well. And 4:30 in the morning is ridiculous, bro. Come on.
that
Sorry.
had to be the first 7-Eleven in Vancouver.
Oh,
On
Avenue.
4th there and you, absolutely.
Had
Yeah,
to be.
absolutely. Well, you remember it was there before. It used to be a furniture foam shop for beds, mattresses.
Gosh.
Old school. That was what
Remember
before.
where there's a used car lot across the street.
Well, that's
Yeah.
Plymley's.
Yeah,
Plymley's.
yeah.
Plymley's is right in front of Belfour's at the time, and Kit's is still the same. And there's not very many of the original stores. I don't even think did the comic store close on 4th, the one that you last worked at, I believe.
The one in Arbutus.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I mean, that was in the
it
news
got
at the time.
renovated, and now it's an Icebreakers.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That was my favorite store. That was the one I used to go to all the time because it was on the way to Videomatica. Johnny and I both used to not only voracious
I
readers.
watched every movie they had there.
Me too. I'd go through the alphabet, and I didn't care if it was.
They had a very eclectic selection.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and every time we walked in that store, people go, "Oh my God, how many are you getting this week?" And I get 8 or 10.
Keith, tell us about some of the writers and artists that visited, people who are professionals that visited the store over the years. That signed autographs.
Well, hey, before you go there, can I just go into the history? Can I just go into the history for a second? Because I didn't know who CGC was in our pre-show, and I mentioned that to you guys, CGC, and what is the acronym?
Comics grading, right? It has to do with the quality. It has to do with the quality of the comic. Like, is it mint condition?
Just like sports cards. Just like sports cards.
Falling off, and that determines its value.
So they did an article I found online. I just want to talk about it quickly, and it's interesting because I did not know about this, and I'm a comic book collector as well, but not to the extent of Keith and Johnny, of course. I don't think anybody's a comic book collector to Keith. I mean,
Grand Poobah.
And we'll get into one of the questions on how many comics that Keith has later in the show here, but they talk about different ages of comics. And the Platinum Age apparently started in 1897 to 1938. And some of the first comics, in 1897, the first comic book was titled The Yellow Kid in the McFadden Flats by Richard Oakart, and was published, reprinted black and white newspaper comic strips into one book. And the book was so successful, it led to another newspaper comic strip called The Katzenjammer Kids by Rudolph Drinks. And of course, Mutt and Jeff, which I do remember. But, and then The Shadow. And they talk about that. And then the next stage was the Golden Age from 1938 to 1956. And then you can see the Action Comics, Comic Book One. The next stage. The next stage is the Silver Age from 1956 to 1970. And then we go into the Bronze Age. I've never even heard any of this stuff before.
Oh, yeah.
1970 to 1984. And they've got Ghost Rider. I remember when that comic came out, and I was like, what is going on with comics? And then they got into the Copper Age, 1984 to 1991, finishing up with the Modern Age, 1991 to present. Were you aware of those different ages, Keith? Like, were you historically involved in comics right from a young man, or did you sort of just learn as you went?
Well, you learn as you go. I'd never really heard of the Platinum Age.
No, me too. That's a new one for me too.
That's new.
Yeah. What the hell?
Basically, it's like I always thought of it as the Golden Age.
That'd be like the Wooden Age.
And anything before 1938, I knew that there was stuff. I knew there was like Yellow Kid and that kind of stuff.
Flash Gordon.
But I just sort of lumped that in with like the Golden Age.
My mom bought me a book called The World Encyclopedia of Comics, and it was like this big with a hard back cover.
I remember that.
And I read it. I read that book cover to cover.
Yeah.
And it was about writers and artists and books and international comics. And oh my God, I just savored every word. It was so fascinating to me. It was like you and your basketball book.
Yeah. So Keith, you were employed in comic books. Did you ever own a comic book store yourself?
No.
But you were a manager, right?
Yeah, just managed.
You had a lot of responsibility.
But you did that for the better part of 45 years. Is that correct?
Yeah. It's like you started part-time, then went through university, working part-time, and then after university, basically started working full-time. And I want to say, maybe like 5-10 years after working full-time, then basically became the manager of the store.
Were you hiring people?
Yep.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, hiring people.
And what was your favorite part of doing that job? Is what is it made you have passion and get up every day to go? Is it something that you just felt you needed to do, you wanted to do, or it was just because you were just addicted to comics?
All of the above.
Sure, all of the above, but I don't know. I mean, it's customers is really good. Customers were good, and they were, it's an interesting industry, so you get a lot of colorful customers.
Yes.
But
like
no, it was great. It was great. It was, I grew up with comics, so comics grew up with me as well.
There was definitely an evolution.
There were comics for primarily for kids, and comics nowadays are, I would say, primarily for adults, basically.
Interesting, eh?
So yeah.
So did you ever meet Stan Lee?
I saw him at a local convention.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's one of my regrets. I always wanted to meet Stan the Man.
Yeah.
He just seems like he's genuine.
I was just going to say the same thing. He seemed like towards the end of his life there, I know he was getting involved in family. Were trying to take his legacy, and it was terrible. I mean, what people do to people in their own family just for money's sake is it's really twisted. So what does somebody that spent their entire life, for the most part, in the comic book industry, and we're all 60-year-old chaps now, what does one do now at 60 and your whole life has been dedicated to comics? Are you what is the next stage of your comic book legacy?
Getting rid of all the stuff that I have.
Are comics going all digital? Like, is the day of the paper and staple, is that like going to be like a dodo bird?
I don't know. I mean, I think that maybe with like new readers that they'll go digital, but long time people that have been collecting comics, they're getting older, so they're probably dying.
That's a happy thought.
But I guess it'll get to the point where print runs of comic books nowadays are pretty low. So I don't know.
But I read that the latest they restarted Batman Paul. They started with #1.
Yeah.
And I read that the first issue sold 500,000 copies.
Yeah.
That is phenomenal for 2025.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
That's like 1938 numbers.
Was that because of financially they wanted to sort of reboot the comic industry.
One sell better than like issue 150.
Because a lot of readers feel
Wow.
that they're getting on at
Of
the
course.
start rather than jumping in the middle of a long-running storyline where nobody.
Well, it was like me going on eBay and Amazon to find Caitlin Clark's rookie basketball card, and before everyone just went ballistic, and then the comic books stores and the sports comic stores, they raised the price of one box of WNBA basketball cards to $2,000. Just in hope that you can get one of her rookie cards, which someone paid online for a 10 out of 10.
Hey,
Perfect.
Somebody in like the last year or so bought a case of Gretzky rookie cards for like a couple $1 million on eBay or Heritage Auctions, I think.
Wow.
They bought it. Yeah.
And they were all rookie cards?
Well, they're a case of probably like, I don't know, 12 or 16 boxes, unopened boxes.
Wow.
So they're predicting that if you opened all the cards, you'd probably end up getting like, I don't know, 20 or so Gretzky rookies.
And what's a Gretzky rookie go for these days?
I mean, I just sold one that was graded an 8 for like 12,000 US.
Wow.
Wow, that's nice.
That's a lot of disposable income.
So people.
It's a lot of Slurpees.
But you're buying those boxes. You're probably never going to open them.
Yeah,
because they're going to be worth more money unopened in 10 years.
Yeah.
Of course, when Paul mentioned Caitlin Clark a few minutes ago, he was referring to the star of the 1981 classic Dragon Slayer, right?
Yeah, no, nice try.
I want to ask Keith. When we were both reading comics as a kid, for me, my favorite storyline, you mentioned X-Men earlier, was the Dark Phoenix storyline.
Yep.
That was just one of the most best written and most emotionally gut-wrenching storylines of all time. What was your favorite? Okay, let's put it simply. What was your favorite single issue of a comic book as a kid? What was the one that when you finished it, you just couldn't wait to read it again?
Well, I mean, X-Men 137.
Read The Death of Jean Grey. Spoiler warning. Yeah, that was a big deal. I remember, so that issue, Jean Grey, who becomes Phoenix, she actually commits suicide because she's becoming so powerful that she's threatening the entire universe. Mm-hmm. And it really felt like it was a real. Of course, she got better because that's what happens in comic books. She got better a few years later. Nobody dies for very long except for maybe Uncle Ben, Peter Parker's Uncle Ben. But I remember reading that issue, and it really felt real, right? You really felt like this is meaningful. She's not coming back.
Yeah. It was an early death, for like sort of a major character.
I remember an issue of Superman where Superman became two people, like Superman Red and Superman Blue, and they were able to solve every problem in the world. They stopped war, they stopped hunger, they stopped crime. They put a drug in the drinking water that made people good. And I remember, and then Superman Blue married Lois Lane and Superman Red married Lana Lang. And I remember as a kid reading the story thinking, is this the last Superman comic book? Are they discontinuing the line? I didn't know that it was a quote-unquote imaginary story. Well, they're all imaginary stories, but some are more imaginary than others. But I was like tears are rolling down my face because I thought they were canceling Superman. This is like the end. This is like the final chapter.
You're young.
But I mean, Superman was the first. Technically, Superman was the first comic in 1937. Is that correct?
The first superhero with powers.
Power, right?
I mean, before Superman, there was Doc Savage, and Doc Savage's first name was Clark, which I don't think was a coincidence. He had a fortress of solitude, just like Superman. So I think writers, they do. I'm probably guilty of it too. I don't think it's intentional. The Shadow's girlfriend was named Lois.
Right.
That probably wasn't a coincidence.
I was going to just say that.
It's all. I think it's all accidental, probably.
Yeah.
What was the storyline what was the most controversial comic book storyline that was so controversial that customers came into the store and complained about it? Like the Death of Superman would be one that would pop into my head in the early 1990s. I remember a Ken G, who's a fellow employee. Yeah. I remember walking into the store one time and he said the police were here, and they were taking copies without paying for them off the shelf because parents had complained. Like, do you remember a specific issue that really offended, like due to sexuality or gratuitous violence?
Green Arrow, Longbow Hunters.
Okay.
I think the first issue There was a story on CBC back east, like in Ottawa or Toronto, about a kid buying this comic book that was for mature readers.
And it said so on the cover, right?
Yeah. And it was like square bound. It was like probably three, 4 times what a regular comic book costs.
Yeah.
Right. So it was priced to discourage kids from buying it. Right. And basically, this kid showed it to his dad. His dad was like shocked because there was a scene where Diana. Black Canary.
Diana Lance.
Yeah, Diana Lance. She was like tied up on a sort of like a cross or something like that. And it's like violence against women or something like that.
It's a story.
Somebody complained to the media, and then the next day, police came into the store.
Oh man, 1984.
Wow. You know, and it's like.
And did they seize all the copies? They came into your store.
Yeah. And it's like I talked to them, and it was like I didn't give them the Longbow Hunters. I gave them Green Arrow comics. They didn't know what they were looking for.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like I don't know what the big deal was.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, back
the father could have brought the comic book back and asked for a refund, right?
Yeah.
That would have been the gentlemanly way to go about it, rather than causing a ruckus.
Yeah, I don't remember that so much as what I do remember is when comics started to get into more adult content, and movies like Heavy Metal and the comic versions. There is a little bit more, a little bit of gratuitous violence, some gratuitous slight nudity.
Yep.
You know, hard nipples and things like that. A lot of people were just like back in the 60s and 70s. They're like, back then, you couldn't buy beer on a Sundays in Vancouver.
That's
so
true.
it was still very much, we were
I
still.
remember movie theaters were closed on Sundays.
That's another thing. I was just going to say that as well. But
Wow.
then when I started to notice these adult heavy metal and Mad Magazine, and then they started to, the boundaries of going from children's comic books to adult comic books. And that started in the mid 70s?
That started when
right?
Stan Lee wrote a story about Harry Osborn, Peter's best friend, becoming a drug addict. And that
wow.
issue, so these have the Comics Code, which is sort of a regulatory commission that would vet comic books for quote unquote adult material. And it was very severe back then. It was like,
I think it was like Amazing Spider-Man 96 to 98.
And so Stan, to his awesome credit, he actually, you guys, I don't know if he was a publisher at the time, but he published that issue without the quote unquote comic. You know, he really put his career at risk by doing that. And of course, the issue sold like crazy. And it's a good storyline because you know, Peter helps Harry get off the drugs, and he beats up the drug dealer. I mean, these stories all have pretty good moral values. That's what makes them good. And you have to have the nasty stuff. Otherwise, what's the point? Otherwise, there's no story. There's no drama.
I loved it. I loved the adult.
That was the beginning. That was the catalyst for the restrictions in the industry beginning to unwind. And so in the 70s and 80s and 90s, you started to see more and more quote unquote mature kinds of storytelling.
That's how I ended up buying my most valuable comic book. Which is probably a question you're going to ask me about. But I bought this comic book, Cerebus the Aardvark. It's a black and white comic book, and I thought it was an underground, right? As a kid.
Now, what does that mean, underground? What do you mean
underground? It's not mainstream, and it's like adult, like drugs, sex.
The fabulous furry freak brothers.
That kind of stuff. That's what I thought it was. You know, so when I bought it, and so like I said, I was like a kid, which would have been like 1977, 78.
Right.
I thought I put one by the store when they sold it to me, but it ended up being basically just an alternative comic book.
Right.
It was like not Marvel or DC, but that comic book ended up being my most valuable comic book. You know, it's probably worth like $5,000 now.
Oh, Lord.
For something that I paid like $1 for, you know.
What do you got next, Johnny? What do you got on your list?
I remember losing my mind when Captain Canuck #1 came on the shelf in 1975. Is that worth anything?
No.
Well, why has it never been really? I mean, all the cool Canadian superheroes are American. Like Wolverine is Canadian.
But the creator, he came into the store.
Which creator?
Richard Conley.
Captain Cackle, sweet.
Yeah.
Is he still around?
Yes, he's still around.
Is he still making comics?
Yes, but he tried revamping or restarting it.
There's been some animated Captain Canucks.
Somebody else is doing it though now.
Yeah, they're really good actually.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the 1990s speculator market. There were a lot of people buying comics in the 1990s like it was real estate, or like they were playing the stock market. Yep. And they'd have like 5 copies of Spawn #1, and they'd get the autograph by Todd Farland, thinking this is my IRA fund. And of course, that was a huge boom, and a lot of creators got super wealthy. Good on them. Takes two to tango. But then there was a bust, and a lot of stores across North America, like thousands of comic book stores, went out of business because they had stacks and stacks of comic books that nobody was buying. How did that affect the comic shop back in the day?
Well,
because you didn't seem to before they could tell.
I mean,
consequence.
I don't. It sort of showed how many people were actually reading comic books.
What concept?
When they all these people disappeared that were buying like, I mean, I remember customers buying like hundreds of copies of some stuff, of the same issue.
Just because #1, they looked at the #1, they thought, this is going to be like Action Comics #1. But the reason that Action Comics #1 is worth so much money is because it's scarce. Yeah. Something has to be scarce in order for it to have value. But if there's like 1 billion copies out there, then you're out of luck, pal.
No, there's tons of that stuff. But yeah, I mean, nobody read it. Majority of people that were like, if a lot of these comic books like X-Men #1 that came out in like 1991,
right, which sold in the millions, right?
Jim Lee. 7 million copies.
Wow.
Right, with like 5 different covers.
Right. Yeah, comics were very gimmicky in the 1990s. Yeah. Like they had 3D covers and playing cards.
Covers,
yeah, it was not so much about the story. It was more about the presentation.
Which bled into the sports basketball.
Remember Pogs?
Yeah, they went through. Some of these cards were just like turn the strobe light off. It was just unreal.
All glitter, no substance.
Well, it's like people buying like sports cards. They weren't even buying like the stuff to collect to get a set. All they wanted were like insert cards, the special cards, the variant, whatever like that. They didn't care about any of the other stuff. I know people that still buy cards, and it's like all they care about are like the insert cards.
Yeah.
So.
It's interesting. I remember going into Keith's store when Star Wars came out, and I bought all of my comic books from Keith. And all of my Star Wars, and I went to him. I said, "Look, man, this is amazing. This is way before its time, and this is going to be huge." And I really regret, as a speculator myself, to a certain lesser extent, I have Star Wars in original condition. I've never read the comics. I've got #1 to 15 in their original bags. In episode 4, if you go back to episode 4, I brought it, showed it to Keith, and Keith said the first thing he said was, "You need better bags, Paul." I was going to ask Johnny. He's like, "Could you bring me some new bags?" And I was going to come by the store when I was in Vancouver, but that's a different question. And so my point is that I really wanted to go buy 20 or 30 Star Wars #1 because when I saw the movie, I've never seen anything like that. I mean, I saw a couple of science fiction films that were much better films that were before Star Wars, but Star Wars captured the imagination. And the reason why I brought that up is because when I'd buy my comics, at the very last page, there was this very popular duel of Rick Barry, who is a very famous white basketball player who won a championship with, in 1976, 75 in the NBA, and Dr. J.
I remember those ads.
And they did a series together on the back of the comics for Converse. They were both.
Do you remember those Hostess Twinkie ads?
Yes.
Superheroes would catch the villains by offering the hostess Twinkie.
I can't believe as a kid that I actually ate those things with ding dongs. They were just the worst food you could
The
possibly.
plastic probably has more nutrition than an actual.
There is
Twinkie.
zero nutrition in there, but that's what, for me, crossed over with sports. I would look at my heroes, Dr. J and Rick Barry, as two, Wilt Chamberlain, of course, and many others, and I'd see the comic book, and I'd be like, I got to get myself some Chuck Taylors. I got to get my Chuck Taylors and 501s. They go hand in hand. I mean, it was just perfect, right?
Awesome.
Anyways, Johnny, what do you got for Keith? Question
do you remember when you were a kid reading a comic? I'll give you an example. I remember reading Fantastic Four, and I loved Fantastic Four. I read it every month, especially when John Byrne was writing and drawing it. And then there was one issue where the Fantastic Four broke up, like the Beatles. They all went their separate ways. And then like 6 months later, they broke up again. And I was like, I'm done. I am done with this. This is like too repetitive. The story's cycling itself. Did you ever have that moment where you had like your favorite comic book and then it just went south? And he's like, I'm done with this. Anything come to mind?
That's a good question, though.
Yeah. No, nothing comes to mind.
Hey, Keith, is your server, is your programmer going through your brain right now of over the 100,000 comics you have? And let me just get that.
He's like the Terminator.
I'm telling you.
You probably think you're joking.
Keith's got a matrix going on in front of his eyes.
He's got all those green lines.
Yeah.
I'm joking about the 100,000 comics, though. It's
pretty
good.
No, you didn't say 100,000 in episode 4. I think you said about 60,000.
I'll tell you what, one thing that
is it really? Holy
one thing
crap.
that leaves off a superhero comics is when they were fighting the same villains over and over again.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, guys, come up with some new villains. Okay, we've seen Doc Ock enough times already. Come up with somebody new.
But the thing is, it's like nowadays, like back when I started reading comic books, people, the creators, writers, and artists, they used to stay on books for a long period of time, like for like a year.
Like Chris Claremont wrote X-Men for like over a decade, right?
Yeah. And nowadays,
I didn't know that.
Nowadays, basically, people, like artists in particular, they like stay on stuff for like a story arc, which is like 4 to 6
Is it
issues.
because there's greener pastures? Someone's offering them more money?
Yeah, I guess it's like, they're either slow, so they can't produce like a monthly book.
But the slower artists are usually the better ones, right?
Doing something else other than comic books, right? Most of these guys, they make all their money like selling original art.
Right.
Like,
better than what they actually get paid to draw the comic.
One of my favorite artists as a kid was Dave Stevens, who created. Remember The Rocketeer, Paul? Remember that movie, The Rocketeer?
Yes.
That was based on a comic book written and drawn by Dave Stevens. And his art was exquisite to look at.
Eddie Page.
Yeah. But she was pretty easy on the eyes.
Model.
Played by Jennifer Connelly in the movie. Yeah. Very good casting.
Hey, Keith and John, I just remember a guy that lived in Balfour Rentals and our Balfour Rentals, not Keith. And he was a year older than us. He was a Greek fellow. And he was a pretty good actor, but he was an amazing comic book artist.
I remember.
What's that?
He drew Conan the Barbarian.
Oh, he drew.
And it was like John Buscema quality.
He was really incredible, and he used to have on a weekly. He used to invite us over to the basement, and he'd make popcorn and Kool-Aid, and sell popcorn and Kool-Aid, and we watch triple headers, and then he'd show us comic work. Do you guys remember the guy I'm talking about though?
I don't remember the name, but I remember the artwork, and I remember my eyes rolling out of my sockets. Like this guy.
When I saw his artwork, and then I saw Johnny's, I was like, wow, that's like night and day. Because I didn't really have, I didn't have anything to discern.
My drawing, Paul. There is your foot. Insert as necessary.
No, I was being honest. I mean, you showed me that you were back then. You were into drawing, and you were pretty good. It's just when it came to Alex Ferguson was his name.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
Alex Ferguson. He went to Kits. He was 2 years older than us, and he was such a talented artist and an actor and everything. Wasn't into sports at all. I was just wondering because we all grew up in that area. We all knew each other. We all played kick the can, it was just really interesting time. What else you got there, Johnny? That was just an interjection because I remembered, I forgot about him.
Okay. Well, over the last few years, there's been 8 million movies based on comic books. Mm-hmm. Which one to you stands out the most, or which one was like the most faithful to the source material?
Wow.
Or which one made you walk out of the theater feeling, gosh, that was just like...
Assuming Keith, you still see movies in the theater?
No, actually, I don't. My favorite, I guess, would be Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Yeah, that would be at the top of my list too, in the top 5.
Really?
So
really?
Good. That movie is so smartly written.
Yeah.
Now,
And
was that the second? Was that the second one or the first one?
That movie.
The first one wasn't good, but the second one I hear is better.
No, the second one's better. It's like a 1970s conspiracy thriller that just happens to have a superhero.
Yeah, it's not like a superhero.
Yeah, it's more like a spy kind of movie.
Yeah,
it's more like like it's like a Tom Clancy novel.
Yeah.
And I love the camaraderie and the humor, and it covers a lot of the same themes as The Dark Knight about security versus freedom. And I love The Dark Knight. I think The Dark Knight is one of the greatest movies ever made. But I prefer Winter Soldier just because I was smiling so much as I was watching it. And it also works as a martial arts movie. The martial arts in that movie is, like, Chris Evans is a phenomenal, great actor, and he's perfectly cast as Steve Rogers. But he's also a great fighter and martial artist and athlete. Mm-hmm. I felt that way when I walked out of the first Spider-Man movie, the one directed by Sam Raimi, the Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, it's the only one I've seen.
I remember walking out of the theater.
I like the second one.
I liked them all in various degrees. But I was like, my knuckles were dragging on the floor. Like, I just had to imagine what was going through Stan Lee's mind as he was watching that. I mean, to see something that he created brought to life so exquisitely, faithfully, and to share it with an audience of people who, for the most part, have not read comic books and are coming in cold and are enjoying it just as much as you are as a fan. So it almost feels like a kind of validation. That's how I felt when I saw Star Wars in 1977 at the Bode Theater. I felt like a weirdo for liking this stuff. And then I'm sitting in a movie theater with 1,000 people, and they're all cheering just as enthusiastically as I am when Han Solo saves Luke Skywalker's behind from Darth Vader, or when Superman caught the helicopter. That was a magical moment too.
Wow.
1978 Superman. That
was
on my list, as Paul knows all too well.
So Keith is our guest, Johnny.
Yes. To this moment, here we are. Do you have any questions for Keith, Paul? I think I've pretty much expended my list.
You've expended. We just started.
Well, I know. Okay, favorite superhero.
Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I guess
he's the most relatable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't get it. I've never been the thing that used to bother me. I don't know about you guys. I used to watch cartoons before I went to school because I'd go to school early, like Keith. In athletics, we get in there, and I'd be watching cartoons at 6 a.m. And the Spider-Man cartoon was the worst. Comic.
It was better than nothing.
No, it absolutely was. But I mean, seriously, when he spun that web and it didn't hit the building and he was still flying through, it is a little disturbing. I mean, they could have tightened that up a bit. But
they had some really whacked out episodes.
But it was really good. Nonetheless, it was crap, but it was really good. I enjoyed it.
I'm sure they did the best they could with what they had.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about, right? It was just it was all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Gosh. Okay. Let's see, what else do we have here? Let's talk about the famous issue of Amazing Spider-Man, continuing that thread, where he gets the black suit for the first time. Did you have any kind of reactions to that? I thought it looked really cool.
Yep.
There was quite a long run of Spider-Man. We know he wears the traditional red and blue suit. Well, for a while he had a black suit.
I do like that black suit.
Spider, which turned out to be, spoiler warning, an alien entity that was feeding off his energy. And I remember the issue where Spider-Man goes to see Reed Richards at the Baxter Building, and Reed Richards analyzes the suit, and he's like, Pete, I hate to tell you this, but that thing you're wearing is alive. And Peter Parker just loses it. He's like, get it off! Get it off right now! No,
but
and that pulling on it, but it's like going back into his body.
But he didn't know that suit was alive, because I remember the suit would every once in a while would light up.
He thought it was nanotech or something. But
right.
It was a shock to him when Reed Richards came to that.
Yeah, no, that was pretty cool. I do remember that.
When he would sleep, it would take him
right
and do stuff.
And he would wake up and not remember what he did.
And he'd be tired.
Night. Yeah.
Because he was doing
stuff
up
all night
while he was sleeping.
Didn't that happen with several celebrities and female co-stars?
Oh, she.
Was that something? That was a different story, I suppose. Yeah, that's terrible. I didn't want to even go there. I don't even know why I did. It just came by the mind. So, Keith, what happens? Like I say, here, your whole life, basically, you've got your schooling, you've got your degree, you got your health. You still look good. Keith hasn't changed a bit in 50 years.
Very fit. He looks pretty buff.
And he was a great athlete, great badminton player. You'd never know Keith was a great badminton player, but he had the softest hands, and his footwork was superb. And when him and Mike Bashinsky played together, it was like It was like Mike 6'6" and Keith, 5'6", and they would destroy everybody. And the only guys you couldn't beat were, I can't remember the East Indian fellow who was really good, and then Gary Kwongo, who was excellent. My backcourt starting point guard in our basketball team. He was a great player as well. But were you always into racket sports? That was your vibe?
Yeah, I did most of the team sports when I was in elementary school. And then when I got to high school, I got out of the team sports.
I remember sports seemed to come. I always thought that you would become a professional athlete because sports, like Paul, sports just seem to come naturally.
Well, St. Augustine's had a really good, let's face it, for a small school, they had a pretty good athletic. And we'd have track and field meets, and we had the Catholic League. So we weren't actually playing against the vast majority of people. And again, we wouldn't have a track and field meet against Henry Hudson or General Gordon or Lord Tennyson, right? It was all Catholic stuff. We'd be OLPH and St. Pat's. And, so it was a lot smaller. It was just different. But Keith, you weren't at St. Augustine's the entire time. You left, or did you stay from grade 1 to 7?
1 to 3.
1 to 3, that's right. And then you went to
Carnarvon.
Why did you change schools?
Right.
Did you move?
No,
which is weird because you had to go to New Catchment, and he was on 4th, and Carnarvon's on 16th. Carnarvon's like a feeder school for PW.
I live like 2 blocks away from Bayview.
Yeah.
My mom didn't want me to go to school there, and I lived like 4 blocks away from Gordon.
Yeah.
General Gordon.
Yeah.
My parents didn't want me to go there.
Yeah, that's why I asked, because I had left St. Augustine's in grade 6. My sister got kicked out of St. Augustine's because they wanted to move her back because she was born January 1st. So they moved her up, and then they said, well, we shouldn't have moved you up. You're not smart enough. We're going to move you back. And she just said, F you. And she left for Bayview in grade 5, 6, and 7, I believe. And then I left St. Augustine's in grade 6 because my grade 7 graduating class was 10 students.
Wow.
And I was just like, that's ridiculous. And there was 2 girls. And I was at that age where I was like, let's have some ladies. Let's get some ladies in this program. And so I went to Bayview for grade 7, and that's where I got my wish. Nothing but ladies. It was just an eye-opening experience. Well, not quite, but we're talking 1977 when Saturday Night Fever came out. You know what I mean? And it was just a different time for.
That was the first restricted movie my parents ever took me to. Now, okay, that segues into a question that I just thought of spur of the moment. How did your parents feel about your passion for comic books? Because my dad was very stereotypically, I'm throwing every one of those GD comic books down the shaft. I heard that many times as a kid growing up. Were they okay with it? Well, some parents are just so conservative and so closed-minded. Which is so weird. My dad liked a $6 million man. He liked James Bond. He liked all kinds of things that were just as ridiculous.
He liked Macho Men.
Well, they didn't care because they didn't pay for it.
And you were a good kid. And you did well in school. You were smart.
Yeah.
You were always on the honor roll, as I recall.
But yeah, I mean, basically, it's like, I had, my paper route. So I paid for my own comics. They never bought me one single comic book in my life.
Did you ever feel stigmatized when you were in school? Like, did anyone ever make fun of you or disdain you?
No, not really. Just because
Keith didn't care, anyways.
It would have been like Keith and I are such polar opposites in that sense because I sucked at all that stuff.
I played sports,
so you get the respect.
So I knew all those people, and then I was pretty bright. He was athletic. He was part of the athletic, and he was also part of the geek squad, and he was also part of the brain squad.
So Keith and I got kicked out of the library many times at high school. We were actually banned. If I remember remembering this correctly, we were actually banned from the library in 1983 because every time someone would take a book across the threshold, they set off the electronic beeper. We would go, like that kid on The Simpsons.
So, folks, just for a reference, we're 60 years old. This is high school for us. It was 1978, 79 was grade 8, and we graduated in 1983. So it was a whole different world. And then we were fortunate enough to grow up in the 60s and 70s in Kitsilano, north of 4th. And we had the best, honestly, I can speak for myself, but I know Johnny feels the same way. We had the best childhoods we could ever ask for. The kids today have no idea what they missed. We were on our bikes every day. We were playing sports every day. We were at kids' pool. We were at kids' beach. It was just not
the world.
Yeah, it was incredible, Keith. And I forgot how much of an athlete Keith was, because you'd never assume that he's an athlete till he gets out there and kicks your ass.
Keith and I used to play racquetball every week for many years. And
Where'd you guys play racquetball?
At Mount Pleasant Community Center.
Oh, your community center. Okay.
At UBC.
The old one.
Sometimes UBC.
Yeah, played UBC. Yeah.
What a workout racquetball is. Holy moly.
Yeah, I don't know if I like racquetball better than squash.
Yeah, squash is hard because the ball doesn't bounce.
No, you got to whack the shit out of it. But racquetball, if you get hit by that ball, I'm telling you, man, not fun. The welts I would get, because I started playing racquetball. I learned racquetball from Jesse, Robbie, and Adam and Katz, the Katz family at YMCA. They taught me how to play racquetball and all racket sports. I did a little bit of tennis when I was younger. And badminton was the only time that, because I was an athlete as well, the only time that Keith and I were on the same sports program, until Stan Lawson kicked me out of badminton and suspended me for the first 5 games of my grade 12 season.
Oh.
Yeah, a lot of let's just say that stuff was going on at home wasn't conducive.
You were overextended, right?
It was a very dysfunctional situation, to say the least.
You're under a lot of pressure at home.
No, but I mean, I didn't know it. I was a kid. I honestly, to me, I just thought, well, this is what everybody goes through. Everybody's families are all fucked up. You know, it was just like,
it ain't that Brady Bunch.
It's not just mine. You know, although, you know, that being said, we're all still here, and we all turned out reasonably well. I have never been arrested. I've never had a DUI. I've never had a speeding ticket. Quite frankly, I've never done. And you guys are all the same. So I think what's interesting is, in that 60s and 70s and the 80s, we just grew up in a different time. Yes, we had televisions. It was in the beginning of TV. We had 3 or 4 channels, but thank God for sports. Thank God for comic books. Thank God for the library and books and reading and education. And I think we got the best of both worlds.
Well, when we were young, when we needed the information, we had to go look for it. You know,
exactly.
Yeah. But like you said just now, I feel the same way. You know, I don't look back. I don't romanticize.
And guess what? Right behind you guys, guess what just rolls up to the window right behind you? Is when I was saying the books, is a series of books.
There you go.
Right behind you at the window.
I'm so grateful that I lived in both generations.
That's what I was saying. I'm very, very grateful.
But I feel that overall, the stage that we're living in now is a golden age. Look at what we're doing right now. As we said on the last show, if we didn't have this technology, we'd be sitting at home watching TV and drinking beer. I wouldn't have a single book online. I wouldn't have my group page. I wouldn't have a YouTube channel. I mean, I feel that the pluses outweigh the minuses. It's very sad when you see a bunch of kids hanging out and they're all looking at their phones, or you see a young guy and a young gal out on a date, and maybe it's their first date and they're looking at their phones. That diminishing of social interaction is the negative. But that's just the way life works. Yeah. You can't have the better without the bitter. There's always some nugget of something that's really great that's a little less than ideal.
Yeah.
What you do with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it really is. And so I guess the question now, Keith, is in the pre-show we did talk about, has your comic book career, has it come to an end? Because you were employed. I forgot the name of the comic on Main Street.
About opening your own store.
8th Dimension.
8th Dimension.
You ever thought about that?
I thought about it after the original store closed, but then COVID hit.
But that's over. That's finished, and now you're a free agent, bro.
But there's still like the wake from the destruction of COVID, right, to businesses and stuff.
Yeah.
Have you thought about like reaching out to people at Marvel and DC and working for them directly in some capacity? No.
What about doing your own website and then going from A to Z in all of your comics and be a comic book guru and
your own podcast
and And so Comic-Con, I was checking on the dates at Comic-Con. I don't know if you guys went last year, but it was sold out and very successful. It's still going at the Vancouver Convention System, and they're doing it again this year in 2026 in April, or pardon me, July. Apparently, usually it's in February, so it's conflicting dates. But is that something that both of you still do? Do you still go to the Comic-Con and those shows and those?
I went to Comic-Con in Australia with my girlfriend at the time, Nicola, and that was a phenomenal experience. As I talked about before, she wore a Star Trek The Next Generation uniform and got a lot of attention, which made me feel a little bit cocky. And I got to see a replica of the 1966 Batmobile, which was amazing.
Man, I saw that in person too. It's pretty incredible. And by the way, I saw the original Batmobile driving up to, I went to Crow's Nest to go look at 10-acre property that people are want to sell and see if something that I could move for them, and once I took a look at the property, I was just like, no, that's not going to work for me. But on the way, I've been on the Crow's Nest for years, since the Coquihalla there's a Batmobile, a replica of the 1970s one, and it's just sitting just off the road in the middle of nowhere over the river, and it's just by itself. And I was just like, what is that doing here? Wow. Yeah, it was incredible. It was a miniature version.
Do you remember the Aston Martin in North Vancouver?
My mom and her boyfriend or husband at the time would take me for my birthday.
My dad used to take me there too.
Yeah.
And behold the wonder of it.
And they used to let me sit inside. They'd open the door and let me sit inside, and then I'd flip there was a button where the passenger seat, the guy would just jettison through the roof.
I had the corgi toy.
Yeah. And then they had the license plate had actually 6 different license plates, and that worked. So you could just go. Yeah, you could be in Rome one day.
The little missiles that came out of the headlights.
Oh, it was just incredible. It was so fun.
Done one of those, so they had to stop making them. I had a Batmobile. Corgi was the best company ever.
But Keith, the reason why I brought that up, is, I mean, to be able to keep yourself busy now that I don't know if you're retired. I don't know if you're working. But you've been doing this your whole life with all the comics you have. You say you have, I mean, how many comics do you have approximately? If you actually know,
you absolutely could open your own store with that many.
Got to be 80.
And where do you keep them?
80,000.
Got to be.
So couldn't you just open your own online store and do like a YouTube channel for comics?
Yeah.
You'd be amazing for that.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't cost much. Look, I put my whole show together. And it's not the most expensive budget and producing this show, but it's cost me the better part of $5,000. Okay. And it sat in my brain for 15 years. And this will be the 85th episode we've done in less than a year. Okay. And that just shows and that's between the basketball episodes I've done 30 on that, on Hoop Junkies. And then with Johnny, we've banging out Canadian pop culture, and with the help of people like Keith, we're able to get reoccurring guests. But I'm just curious, Keith, from imaginary to be in your situation, to be someone that's so passionate about, and we all are to a lesser degree, maybe Johnny slightly more, but to be able to have all of that experience and have all of those comics and all of that history, there's got to be some way that you could be in a situation to help educate and give back to the industry and help educate children of today and adults of today. It's not just for children.
It's social conscience.
Yeah.
You self-absorbed prick.
It's something to think about.
But I mean, have you thought about it now that it's freedom 60 right now instead of freedom 55?
That's right.
Yeah.
So I mean, not to get intrusive, but I was just curious because the reason why I'm doing this show is because I'm a hoop junkie, and I can't play basketball anymore because I'm old. But I have a basketball court across the street, and as soon as this episode's done, I'm going to go shoot some hoops. I'll go shoot a couple of 100 shots.
Referee.
No, I can't because my right knee, just I don't know what happened. So I'm starting to ref.
Old.
Dude, it's really old. It's arthritis. I thought it was I had an MRI done and nothing showed. But my point is that just because we're 60, we're not done, right? So it would be nice to be able to. It'd be nice to fill in our time. And Johnny, you're not. Your writing you're far too talented of a writer, not to be published. And if you could,
Self-published now.
I have self-published over 100 books and short stories.
And I read his stuff. I read his stuff every day, and honest to God,
your comments
it's good enough. Johnny, be quiet for a second. It's good enough to be on Netflix on a retro 70s.
I know my stories are good. They're not
Johnny, you got to let someone finish a sentence, bro. I'm talking about you.
Good. My favorite topic.
Your favorite. It's his favorite subject. I know.
Well, yeah. What else?
And you need better lighting for the workouts in the morning, even though nobody wants to see your stomach flabbing around.
What stomach?
Dude, it still hangs.
You mean my 12-pack?
That's looks like a sloppy 2-pack. But anyways, it was getting back to Keith. So Keith, I mean, I was just curious because we're going to end up the show pretty soon, and I really love having you back. And if I'm a comic book collector, where can I find out how much my comics are worth? Is there a resource like there is to sports cards where I can find out?
There are like online price guides.
And there are
comics price guide.
Yeah,
that thick book that came out every year.
There's one called the Comic Book Realm. You know.
Yeah.
But there you can go to like some of these like grading companies.
Yeah.
You know, you pay for the service.
Yeah.
But they'll tell you about actual sales.
Right.
They'll track sales for stuff that's graded.
Right.
So that'll tell you what your stuff is worth.
Well, I'm gonna have to look into that.
For, right now. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I've only got a few books that I've got graded. Most of the stuff that I've sold has been raw, just in bags and stuff like that, bagged and boarded. But there's a lot more investors. I don't think people that buy graded books are speculators because they tend to pay like a premium for those books.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of collectors and investors that are buying. There's a big market for like older comics that are like graded now, which before this system was created, there was, the back issue market. I want to say it sort of stagnated there for a while, but this like created just a huge industry now.
Out of your whole collection, which issue is your most treasured? Like if you went home and you said to yourself, I want to read a comic book, and you went through your whole collection, which one would you pick? Do you have like a particular issue, like one?
Dude, 80 to 100,000 comics. How do you do that?
No.
Just off the top of your head.
Service the aardvark number one.
That one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said that last show, I think.
Yeah.
Episode 4.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's probably worth, in the shape it's in, it's probably worth like $5,000.
Wow.
Like US, $5,000 US.
Right.
And like I said, for a book that I bought for $1, I should have bought more, obviously.
Well, this is when you mentioned the speculation, I was talking about my Star Wars. I should have bought another 30 Star Wars 1. And by the way, I went into your shop when you were working on 4th Avenue in front of my grandmother's vitamin store, actually right next to it.
Yeah.
And I went there because Dave, who did the sports cards in the basement, called me up. He says, Paul, you got $100? And I'm like, yeah, kind of, but I'm buying a stereo. I think I told you this story in episode 4, and he goes, you got to come down. I got something for you. And he goes, what is it? And he goes, I'm not going to tell you. Just come down. You live 3 blocks away. Come on. Yeah. So I came down there, and he was always smoking, which really grossed me out. I think they used to allow him to smoke in his little booth down there, and it just drove me nuts because my mom was a smoker too, and I hated it. Anyways, so the guy goes, okay, you bring your $100? I said, yeah. And he goes, okay, I got 3 cards here that I will sell you for $100 right now. One card's not very good. It's maybe a 5 out of 10, maybe a 5.5. Another is maybe an 8, maybe 8.5, and the other's a 9.95. And he pulled them out. 3 Michael Jordan rookie cards.
Gosh.
And the biggest mistake I ever did. And now the third one, I would still get the third one graded if it's a 5.5.
It's with the mint? Oh, really?
But honestly, I saw recently a Michael Jordan card recently sold for like $5 million.
Oh no, really?
And it was a 10. It was mint. It was total mint. But $5 million.
Todd McFarlane paid $3 million for baseball.
Yeah.
Cal Ripken's.
Yeah. There's a lot of old cards. So going back to your comment, Keith, maybe you could be somebody that helps people with their comic book collections and be a grader. And if you had a website, it'd be, I mean, you're smart enough to put your own website together or get someone to do it. It wouldn't take much at all. And you could even do a small YouTube channel. It doesn't take much if you wanted to.
You can do it on your Facebook page too. I think I have 5,000 followers on my Facebook page. I'm not
it's
like take advantage of this.
It's amazing. But we're not telling you what to do, Keith, but we're super happy that you took your time out of your retirement to join us for
retirement. Thank you.
Well, you know what I mean? Like it's like what do 60-year-old people do at this stage of their life if they're made redundant or they find themselves redundant? And I'm the same. I'm like, my real estate industry is I've been in real estate for 23 years. I've never seen anything like it. What's going on in the last 5 years? It is horrendous.
Really?
Sorry.
Yeah, it's catastrophic. It's getting worse, and it's got to get worse before it gets better because that's the cycles. But I'll do real estate episodes later in a separate video. This is about you right now. But in the meantime, I'm going to wrap things up. Johnny, did you have anything else you want to do? We're at an hour.
I have a pun before we go, and I got this at the library today. I thought it was appropriate because it is a graphic novel, and it was called A History of Violence. The writer is John Wagner. It's the art by Vince Locke. I read the first two pages while reading for Keith today.
Love it.
Really gripping stuff.
Yeah.
And it was made into a great movie directed by Canadian David Cronenberg. With that
yes. Saw it and read it.
With the guy from Lord of the Rings in it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah. The opening sequence where the muggers or the robbers come into the little cafeteria.
It's fantastic.
And his violence is so satisfying.
It really is.
Oh man, you just
not as good as John Wick 4, but
you want to watch it over and over again.
Really good stuff.
Okay, did you bring a book home?
I did.
Did you bring a comic book?
Oh, I just brought a bunch.
Okay.
A bunch? Well,
you want to show one?
Yeah, you got to show your best one, your favorite.
Best
one. The one that's under his butt of all things.
So the one that most fans would acknowledge or recognize.
Oh my God!
Preferably there's the Star Wars. Family. Oh, there we go.
Oh, what do you got there?
Michael Golden. Great artist.
Yeah.
What number is that?
I remember reading this issue back in the day. I think I had it.
Number 38.
And is that in one of the bags that you're telling me to get?
Yep.
And how much does a bag? One bag cost, Keith?
Those were the same clothes.
10 cents.
Okay, I got to get some more. Now that your shop's closed, I don't know where to get bags.
Yeah.
Online.
There's like Crisis.
Oh, that was a big storyline. Yeah, she got
put it up a little bit higher, Keith.
George Perez.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah. So that was DC used to have like all these different universes, and it was too confusing for people because they're like different versions.
Like alternate universes.
They made the storyline to create like one, to sort of combine everything into one universe.
It's a pretty cool cover, bro.
That was an epic storyline.
Wow.
Just every DC characters in this. Let's show us the Justice League. I want to see.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
I always wanted.
Oh my God, number one.
Well,
oh my God.
Okay.
Johnny's got a jammer live.
Comic I really.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
I thought that was like actual Justice League number one. That would be worth a lot of coins.
Could get old DC comics in Vancouver.
Yeah.
That's Starro, by the way. They're fighting. The name of that villain.
Yeah.
Right.
They're in Suicide Squad.
Yep. That's the one I always wanted to get that I never ever got an original of.
That's very cool.
I always liked the team books when I was a kid because you got more bang for your buck, like the Avengers.
What else you got, Keith? Show us one more.
One more, and then we'll
one more.
Wrap it up. What's in your grab bag? Oh,
Painted,
David Knapp.
Painted, mixed media.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kabuki. You know what Kabuki is? It's Kabuki theater is a very popular theater in Japan.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very beautiful artwork.
Oh yeah.
David Mack.
And come on. Old.
There we go.
Oh man.
Herb Trimpe.
Well, how old is that?
That's from the early 70s, I want to say.
15 cents a comic, man.
Bronze. That's bronze.
Dude,
bronze
what number is that?
141.
Holy crap.
Wow, Doc Samson, the green
first Doc Samson.
Wow.
That's
well, thanks for that, Keith. That's awesome. Johnny, who do you got?
I got a pun before we go.
You got? I'm going to show you my book.
Okay.
This is not a book. This is an encyclopedia.
There it is.
Just shows you it's about, I don't know how many thousands of pages, but it's the ultimate basketball encyclopedia. And
Spider-Man book like that.
It goes back. Yeah, I actually have a Spider-Man. I grew up with a Spider-Man book like that I destroyed.
Yeah.
But this is the ultimate basketball encyclopedia, and it's got stuff in here that no one would even know. And it's really, really fun to have it. But
there should be a chapter called Paul Bale.
No, not
legendary Paul Bale.
I'm a speck of dust.
No.
In the history of hoops. But I did it, and I lived it, and I'm still living it because I started this Canadian Bro Show, and the basketball season starts. We're actually filming our first episode of the second season, episode 30 tomorrow, if we don't have any tech issues. But in the meantime, do you want to get that pun out?
Let's do this. Okay, so I was at my karaoke bar last night, the Charkey Grill, plug, on Maple and Cornwall and Kitsilano. And who walked in? None other than the star of Taken, Liam Neeson. And of course, I was completely starstruck, and I introduced himself, and he was limping. And I offered him a balloon. And he said, well, why are you offering me a balloon, mate? And I said, it's a Heel Liam balloon. You're welcome.
Oh, my God, man. Oh, my God, Johnny, I don't know about that one.
Oh, come on.
No, I mean,
yeah,
puns are hit or miss. Yeah, no, puns are hit or miss. And I've been talking to Johnny for a year now that he needs to write his own puns. You're a writer, write your own puns, because half of the ones you bring on the show are horrible, and the other half are passable. Keith, do you have a pun?
No, I don't.
If you had a pun, would you tell it?
No. Without puns.
I knew Keith was going to say that.
Not after that. That egg.
That's a tough act to follow.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Anyways, guys, we're going to wrap. I'm going to put our new Canadian Bro song.
Add it to your playlist, folks.
On the Bale moonlight.
If you know anybody who would like to be a guest on our show, if you know any writers or artists, people who work in the industry, because we're always looking for guests.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's the classic.
Here's the one that Johnny likes. Anyways, guys, we're gonna wrap up. Thank you very much, Keith, for joining us again.
Live long and prosper, everybody.
I'm sorry?
Live long and prosper. Thanks for watching.
Yes, no, thank you for as I was trying to say, and at the end of the day, thank you very much for joining us, Keith. Thanks for coming back again, and good luck at the next stage and new chapters of your life. And Johnny, for the love of God, get published, please.
I published another one today on Drafted Digital, Lightsville.
Yeah, so Johnny, can you tell everyone where people can see your work on Johnny's Way?
I have a group page called Johnny's Way, over 1,000 members. Again, not to be my test about it.
On Facebook.
Yeah, all my stuff is available on Kobo and Barnes & Noble and Apple. Most of them are 99 cents. And my email is johnleister611@hotmail.com. I've done this before, time permitting. I'd be more than happy to email anyone copies of my short stories. I mean, look, I want to make money doing this. But it's also about sharing. It's very gratifying to me when people read my stuff and I get feedback. Even when it's negative, I usually get something out of it.
I mean, your writing's excellent. And everybody, thank you very much. If you enjoyed this content, you appreciate this type of content, and you've come back, or it's your first time, you could really help us out by subscribing, liking, sharing, and commenting, please. If there's something that you'd like us to talk about, if you'd like to reach out to Keith and you're curious about comics, he is a world of resource. We're trying to talk him into getting his website. He has approximately 100,000 comics. We're not going to tell you where he keeps them. It's in a vault in a secret location in a faraway country.
There's a big X on the ground somewhere.
And in the meantime, everybody, thank you very much for joining the Canadian Bro Show.
Ask Keith how people can get a hold of him. How can people contact you on Facebook?
Keith doesn't look at his eyes. He doesn't want anybody to get a hold of him.
I don't know.
Anyways, just comment if you're interested in getting hold of Keith. Just make a comment on the Bro Show, and we'll get you his contact information, or whatever he'll share with us.
Stick your head out the window and yell, "Hey, Keith, read my comics, please."
So apparently, Johnny had a lot of coffee before this episode today. Hence the 4 Ps he had before starting. And he's bouncing off. But you guys look fantastic. Thanks for joining the Canadian Bro Show. In the meantime, everybody, we are going to be signing off for today. And thanks again for joining. Just one last thing before we go. Be kind out there. It's a crazy world. There's a lot of anger and pain and sorrow. Just be nice. Be friendly. Be kind. Help somebody out. Open a door. Help an elderly person cross the street. Just do something nice.
Be an example setter.
We really need it in this world. And we are going to finish off. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll see you soon. And everybody, take care.
Bye.